The mighty DR650. Dane here in the man cave. Just got some Harbor Freight motorcycle ramps. I got the biggest ones they had. 10, these are inches, 10 inches by 84 inches. I wanted it as wide as it could be and as long as it could be to make loading the bike easier. Some assembly is required. You gotta bolt on the little angle thing at the end. What I want to tell you guys is when you're putting these together, and even when you're handling them, you know, putting them in the truck, out of the truck, getting ready to load your bike, unload your bike, whatever, this is upside down. That's in normal mode. This is upside down. Okay, so it's hard to tell, but anyways, that's right side up, and this is upside down. But anyways, these folded edges of metal on the grate, if you will, and then under here on the lip, these are sharp as hell. And I could just see somebody, even when you're, you know, bolting this on and you're putting them in the truck or out of the truck, whatever, wear gloves. I could see somebody just lacing their hand just wide open on the edges of this folded metal. It's not filed or anything, it's just cut and folded, and they truly are very sharp. So use caution when you're putting it together and you're throwing them in the truck, just wear gloves. Okay, so I could just see somebody just slicing their hand or their arm or whatever just wide open. For what that's worth, I'd hate to see somebody get hurt. Okay, that's the way that they come after you put them together. See how, hopefully you can see it, the end of the ramp is squared off, and it's about, I don't know, 2 inches tall. This edge down here, down at the bottom, is just going to dig in to any part of your tailgate. So I took a scale and paralleled the angle on the tailgate, made a mark. I'm going to cut it off with my angle grinder, because that ain't going to fucking fly with me. I ain't tearing this truck up. Come on. And then take a flat file and get rid of those sharp edges. Okay? Flat file, get rid of the sharp edges. Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, see how after I cut that, the angle of the ramp where it meets the tailgate versus being squared off is now not going to dig in and tear up the back top of the tailgate thingy, because this is pretty much a brand new truck. It's a $43,000 truck. It ain't mine, so don't get any weird ideas. Mine's that hunk of shit over there. But anyways, this is a company truck. But no matter what, I don't want that digging into that tailgate on any truck. So that's way better. Mucho bettero. I've been practicing my Spanish. And now I'll make my safety change, since the distance between where I hooked the chain up and whatnot would now be different by at least an inch to wherever I'm going to hook it on, down there probably or whatever. Okay, so the safety chains are not included, so you're going to have to find some old chains you have laying around. I happen to have a whack, and once you get your ramps where you want them, then figure out where you're going to hook it, bolt it to it, measure it, and then cut off the rest. Okay? Like that. Okay, so the safety chains don't come with the ramps. I just cut a piece of chain, 1/4 inch bolt, a couple of washers, and then a washer and a nut underneath. And I'm going to leave that loose on purpose so it can spin around, because this link here will want to bind up if you tighten it too tight. So I'm going to leave it a little bit loose, and then there's a trick. Drip some super glue right where you want the bolt and the nut to stay, and that super glue will get into the pores of the steel, and it is way better than Loctite. I can tell you that right now. I've had to break bolts off. That's how well that stuff holds. So I'll super glue underneath here where the bolt and the nut come together, and just let that have some freedom. And then there's my little hook. Now all I did was took a hook off of a bungee cord, pinch that, put the chain on it, wrap that around, pinch the sumbitch closed with a pair of vice grips, and then the big end's going to hook in there. And then so that's going to be for the bike part, which is in the middle of the bed, because I want the bike in the middle of the bed. I'm a surveyor. I want it in the center. I want the tie down symmetrical, so each one has the same amount of strength, so to speak. And then my walk-up ramp, which is here, and of course I cut both edges. This safety chain that I'm going to make next, I'll do the same thing, but it'll be much shorter. And remember, these are safety chains. You're not towing a fucking, a fifth wheel. It just has to be a little faggoty fucking thing that'll kind of hold it in place, so it doesn't slip out from underneath you. And then of course, once you get everything in place, you can just shift this over just a fuzz. I got this kind of pretty much probably within a 1/2 inch of where I want it, and the ramp won't slip. Really pretty simple. Okay, so there's the inside. My nut's not very tight. And where's my thing? Just take some super glue. Sorry. Okay, let that run down in there. It'll find its way between the nut and the bolt, and it'll bond. That fucker won't never come off, and you still have, it's free to move, because you don't want that tight, so you can swing that around, swivel that around. Can you dig it? Okay, all done. The one on the right, if you're looking from my view, if you will, is center line of the truck. And I got my safety chain on. I marked this ramp center line. CL center line. And there's my safety chain. And then me and my little buddy, my little boy Blake, who's 6'1" and taller than Daddy, we ran the motorcycle up and down the mighty DR 650 a time or two, and determined, you know, holding onto the bike and walking up the other ramp, the distance between the two for me, and holding onto the bike and being able to walk up comfortably and securely is about 16 inches apart, center line to center line. So they're 16 inches apart, and then I did my other safety chain and super glued it and all that. So I'll probably put a piece of carpet over there so it doesn't booger up the tailgate or nothing on whatever truck I use. The company truck, which I'm not supposed to put anything in the bed, or the 94 Chevy hunk of shit with 230,000 miles on it. Okay, so that's the way that it's coming out now, and it's this is a lot better than when I started. Okay, several hours later, and dun-da-da-da, the mighty DR 650 and the clusterfuck of a man cave. Yep-er. Okay, see that? If you look at the box, they have the little metal attachment lip on the top of the rail. But if you look at the instructions, it says follow the diagram on page 11 or whatever the fuck it says. And it's clearly underneath. So I put mine underneath and followed that diagram. If it's wrong, then the Chinese AutoCAD guys need an enema. Yep. Okay guys, kind of crazy. We're out at Table Mesa, getting ready to ride the mighty DR. The freaking shooting range is awesome. I've never seen it this busy. Look at this, we got people all over the place, just tons of them. And there's the mighty DR. I gotta pee, and I'm gonna split. Hi guys, Dane here, Man Cave, Clusterfuck. Yeah, okay. Ramp update. I had a reader, or a guy that watches some of my videos, make a comment that was a really good one. On the edges of these ramps, he said, put a piece of fuel line on there. So I'm like, fucking A. So I drilled a couple holes, cut a piece of fuel line, slid it down the middle, popped it on, tightened them up. No big deal. What did I use? 3/16, because that's the wire tie I used. Because I was trying to figure out a way to secure it, to not booger up the end of the tailgate whenever you know, lay your ramps down. But anyway, certainly not profound. But like I said, I had a viewer suggest that, and it was an awesome idea. And I kept a little connector fucking snitch and grooving or whatever away from the bottom, so that doesn't either dig in or you know, wear out or whatever. And I don't know how long they'll last, but I mean, big deal if I have to pop on another set of wire ties. But that'll help keep that that metal from digging into that tailgate. All right. Remember, it may not be very big around, but it sure is short.